Welcome back, everybody. I'm Jack Balbus with Oasis Digital, and today I am joined with
Zachary Gibbon,
Paul Spears,
Lance Spinney,
and off-screen
Kyle Cordis.
And we're going to be doing another unscripted work session on our Angular Bootcamp curriculum. And so our first item of the day today is looking at this branch that Kyle created, which is going to be about linting all of our additional Angular CLI projects that we have in our curriculum. So we already have linting kind of set up as part of our build process for the main sequence of steps, but until now we hadn't actually run it on our kind of standalone examples at the end that were like complete standalone Angular CLI projects. So this is the commit to start working on that.
And I apologize for line 3. It's a filthy lie. It's a mistake. The code works though.
I'm not sure what you're trying to do.
Nothing. Keep going.
Okay. All right.
So when we get on this branch, rebase it on current master, go try to run the script and see what happens.
Yep. I think you said that it fails.
I think it fails because one or more of our.
Should I rebase it onto real master or proposed master?
Let's stick with the real master for now. Real master. I think.
Okay.
that's already on.
It's already on.
Oh, it's already on real master.
Yeah.
Excellent. So rebase done.
Only a few months behind.
Console
Is
here.
that because of the protractor? Why the proposed master?
Because I got behind.
Okay.
I've got a lot of stuff stacked up that I have caught up on, but yeah.
So I should just do this compile lint all sh thing.
Yeah. Just / whatever tab.
All right.
So while we're waiting for this to happen, you might notice that we've changed our Git client. It's not an official thing that we've done. We're just trying something new.
Oh, we're trying fork?
Okay.
Yeah.
Oh, cool. Yeah.
I think everyone who's touched it for more than 2 minutes has been like, "Yep, this is the one I'm using now."
Yeah, we've been using SourceTree for a long time, but we're trying Git Fork now, which is an independent open source product. I like it a lot. There are a couple.
Are they not even selling it yet?
Apparently, it's.
Because like I would totally give them money.
I'm sure they would accept it.
I haven't seen any like button that says click here.
They have a contributing.
Maybe I'll do that. Maybe I'll do that.
But yeah, the only thing that I haven't found that I miss from SourceTree is when I'm working on Bitbucket, I haven't found a way to launch a PR, to create a PR when
So it's not as featureful as. Am I even on camera, by the way?
Yeah, you are.
Yeah.
So it's not as featureful as. So I've been using Fork for like a year and a half on my Mac.
Okay.
Because there's been a long-standing, very problematic bug for SourceTree on the Mac that makes it burn 100% of a CPU core, which makes your computer very warm when you're holding it in your lap.
So you only do it in winter.
Right. So I basically, and only in the cold season, can I use the SourceTree on my Mac.
Pulls it out of the closet.
But so Fork is really great, and it's evolved and improved tremendously over the last like year and a half.
Okay.
But it is not as featureful as SourceTree, and it doesn't like integrate with like the Bitbucket stuff like SourceTree. But for just like a Git UI, it is really great. I really like it.
Yeah. So that's free advertising for the free product that we're doing. Yeah, it's nothing official, but we've all just kind of been playing with it lately.
Yeah, that was a strong word.
It's also
This is my first experience.
Yeah, all is a strong word.
Some of us.
Quite a few. Several of us have been playing with it.
But it has kind of like a minimal aesthetic about it, which I personally like a lot. So
it's also free, which is nice. I pay for GitCracked.
Except I'm going to look for a way to give them some money if we all use it.
Yeah. I pay for GitCracked, so it's way different on my switch.
Okay, so now this is it as it's looping through trying to run our tests on each, right?
Do all of these apps have tests?
Anything generated with CLI always has tests. Now, whether those tests do anything.
So this appears to have stopped.
You can wait for the Karma overall test render timeout to fire, and it'll shut down. Or should
so you
shut down.
You think it's having a problem because we have no tests? What do you think is going on here?
Well, it seems to be complaining about a config setting.
If you see up there, it says linting copyright E2E.
Yeah.
So that's interesting. Is copyright E2E the E2E tests for the copyright app?
I think so.
So,
Because those are registered as separate.
wait, so is it running the unit tests on the E2E tests of a project? Is that what's going on here?
No, that was
I
linting.
don't think so.
I
I think
think-
it's moved on to something else here.
Yeah, I think the lint pass happened, and all of the linting passed, and now we're onto the test pass.
Okay, so if we wanted to reproduce this without using that script, if we tried to run the tests from the command line on the
Well, which one is failing?
NG
Oh.
packager.
I don't see where you saw that.
by which one is
Uh,
failing? Do you mean
Which tests was it running when it hummed?
No. So it was trying to run the ones for copyright, I think.
copyright? Yeah, see, because I believe it.
Oh, so will it run all the linting for all across the projects first, or will it do or will it do everything for a particular project? Is it horizontal or vertical?
So, since we're like learning stuff anyway, let's look at how we could diagnose that.
Okay.
If you bring up the script here, I'll show you the quick and dirty and ugly way to tell. So you need to bring it up in your IDE because we're going to edit it.
Is it? Is
You
it
do
at
that
the top level?
Control P, compile or something, you'll find your way to it pretty easily. Oh, you're saying you might not
Yeah, I
have
need
opened
to go
it?
up one level.
Yeah, okay.
'Cause
I will show you an old bash trick. If you want to like know what it's doing, I want to know what it's doing. I don't want to actually do it. I want to know what order it does it in, rather than like, because like one could read the documentation, but that would be awful. Simply go to. I'll be huge on camera. Go to like this point, like right here. In fact, go to that point right there. Actually, go up one, and then do Control Shift down so that you'll get 5 cursors.
This is called blue steel look on camera here.
You mean
Yeah, so you get 5 cursors, whatever combination of buttons you press.
Alt.
Alt is gonna move it.
How do we?
Alt
Shift
control,
control.
Alt Shift.
There you go.
I rebounded for
Type the word echo. Type echo.
My
put a
fingers
space.
know it. My mouth doesn't.
And now save, and now go run the script again. So just by putting echo in front of the command, you're going to see all the commands it runs. So this is what it does. So the answer is it does it depth first. It
Okay.
PWDs something, and then it yarns that something, then it builds, then it lints, then it tests. So it's doing one program at a time.
All right.
Now you can tell which one it's doing.
Thank you. So it was in the middle of doing copyright, right?
You know, while we're in here, actually, you need to go undo, delete the echoes. Oh, you already did. Okay. Yeah. You don't. No.
No,
Yeah. Okay. Yeah.
Do that.
What you could do is you see how on line 6 we print what directory we're in?
Yeah.
You could actually copy that line and put that in between all the other lines also. So that like before it does each thing, it reminds us what directory it was in. You follow me? That way it'll be more obvious. You won't have to look up very far.
I don't think we need like 14.
Yeah, you don't need it at the end. Yeah.
Delete line 3 while we're here.
And then we have a we're good. Yeah. Okay. So now you should be in good shape.
Okay. Oh, this is gonna take us a couple minutes again.
Well, the yarn will go real fast the first time.
Oh,
The build, they're working on technology that's going to cache the build stuff. Like Angular CLI is going to apparently grow the ability to cache build results on disks, not only in RAM. So if you restart Angular CLI, it's supposed to like not take the full amount of time the second time.
Are they related to herbs?
I don't. What?
Basil.
No, it's not. No. You would not need to switch to Bazel.
Oh,
You would
okay.
get this in,
So it's just actual CLI.
in
So-
Angular CLI. You'll get that. Yeah.
So I like that idea, but considering the number of times that I have to like kill the CLI right now in order to like get it to realize that like something has happened and like
So there's
basically get rid of that cache
there's-
that's causing problems. I don't
There's
know.
plenty of room to cache some things that are safe to cache without like being vulnerable to like all the problems. But yeah, you're right. There still then could be times when you have to like somehow delete the cache. So what are we?
We are in the directory publishing components Angular elements.
Okay, and I
Oh, so
believe
we might be doing NG packager.
didn't this? Oh, and then we did it. So you're saying so it's trying to run a test on that, right?
Yeah.
And so we don't need to use our script. Now we can just navigate in there and try to run the test.
So this is kind of interesting because on a proposed master branch, we actually
Yeah, that's
deleted this particular folder
Cool.
Nice.
because this whole idea.
Then
is
why
that
don't you just why don't you save this work and rebase this up against above proposed master then? That's like
Yeah,
the
I mean, that's
expedient
close.
way to get past this.
and proposed master is fairly safe.
Yeah. Well, I mean, presumably
Right,
things
proposed
wouldn't be on the pretty safe. I'll be back.
Alright.
All right. Oh, we didn't actually make No, we made changes.
Yeah, so they appear differently in here. Go back. So it's under changes in the top left. It doesn't do an additional thing. I mean, maybe there's a setting.
Pseudo visual commit.
Yeah.
Okay. So this is more aggressively where we are delete line comment.
So one thing that's interesting, look, before you hit commit, look in the bottom right, like just above commit one file, -6. I don't know what the number is, 55 characters or whatever.
Something
It's
like that.
telling you right there that your first line of your commit is too long.
It's 6 characters too long.
It's 6 characters too long. Now, we don't have to pay attention to it because this is being done to feed in particular tools and stuff like that. But it's right there, and that's a nice little feature.
Yeah, and I really like that because when we're working with clients, a lot of them don't actually know like all that particular background and history and why that's like it technically doesn't matter, but you really should.
Yeah.
Like having that visual reminder will really help them.
So do we want to amend the commit, or do we just want to?
I'd say new commit, but you're not ready yet because because you didn't actually commit what you wanted to.
Oh, you didn't say anything.
This
I
doesn't
did
back.
stage it.
What's that?
I clicked the stage button here.
I think you had the yarn lock highlighted when you click stage somehow. Like so in source tree, the top listing is what's staged and the bottom is unstaged, and it's reversed here. And it takes a little while to get used to.
The double down arrow is the all.
Yeah. So now I would say amend. And this is also interesting. When it shows amend, it actually shows you what it will combine to. It shows you the files, and then you can look at the full what amended diff would be, which is a nice touch.
Yeah. So apology to all the viewers that like we're basically going to end up in like an extended commercial for fork because of how much we like all this little.
I'm just sitting here wondering why you guys haven't had this forever.
It hasn't existed for Windows in forever.
Yeah, that's on getcracked.
Okay, so what is our conflict?
I have only gone through this process.
It's in the yarn lock file for the thing that we're going to delete. So I say we just delete it.
Yes. I don't know how to do it.
Doesn't matter which one, so I'm just going to go ahead and come in here, ABC, more, which one?
It was that one.
Was it this one?
Mm-hmm.
Well, no, it was the packager one.
Oh, was it?
So why is it not showing here?
Because it's
gone.
Gone?
Yeah, but we should still see the,
well, when you,
I guess
when you clicked
okay,
on it, you automatically resolved it by getting rid of it.
Okay, so now I want to finish the rebase.
Bottom right.
Bottom right, continue rebase. Okay. Okay, so now we are on
lentilall, which is on top of proposed master to commits. That looks right.
okay.
So now when we run the same exact command, like they'll just not have that one project to deal with.
Okay. So this might be simpler than we thought it would be. Alright, well, do you have more things to say about fork? While we're
Yeah.
for this to happen?
Their interactive rebase is really nice. Like there's a lot more explicit explanation as to what is happening during your rebase. Like it actually says the whole word and explains what that word is for with like little tooltips that say, oh, it looks like you're going to squash this commit into this commit, and then this one gets reworded, and like it has you double click right there to go ahead and reword it, and it's just kind of all in one step rather than clicking through it in several.
So, and we were looking at this yesterday, and like I was talking about, oh, there's more here, and he's like, yeah, a lot of that's on getcracked. So it has more than getcracked did, but getcracked had more than source tree.
It has like 1 or 2 extra commands in terms of the whole like all the various words you can use, but I never use those words, so it doesn't impact it. It has like all the main ones you would use, like reword, squash, all that stuff.
My problem with getcracked has always been that I can never find the actual features I'm looking for.
Oh.
I know they're there. I can go Google them and eventually find them.
That's
but
weird.
the UI, for some reason, it might just be a me kind of thing.
Maybe.
Like as I try and use the thing, I always feel lost. Like where is this stuff?
So what we found out about our test that wouldn't run.
Well, we blew away the directory of the tests that wouldn't run, so now we're on a different set of tests that don't run.
You're saying because we switched to the new branch because we.
Yep.
Yeah. Okay.
All right, so here we're in publishing components, Angular elements.
Yeah.
It looks like the tests don't. We don't have any tests.
So let's try to run that test.
Wait, so how about this? Wait a second. There's this thing. Doesn't the ng test by default go into a watch mode?
Yeah, I think it does.
Is that true?
Yeah.
The ng test by default goes
yeah,
in watch mode?
It doesn't run single.
Yeah, I think if I kill it, it'll go on to the next thing.
Okay, so there's kind of a
Yeah.
there's a question of how things should be here, right? So among the like node community, if you got 1,000 non-Angular node users in a room, they would not agree on much. But probably 100% of them would agree that ng test, or excuse me, npm test should run to completion and succeed or fail. It should not go into a watch mode.
Yeah.
Yep.
So it's kind of weird that that's what happens.
Yeah, most of our projects we
Here.
tweak it to where you have a colon watch or
So-
you just do it one time.
Right, so we have different ways we could do it. We should do it however we recommend students do it, right? So we could either we could leave the existing one as it is and add another target that runs to completion. We could change we could like I said, do a test watch and then make test run to completion. We could just when we invoke it from that script, pass the
flag
extra
through.
parameter,
Yeah,
pass the single run flag there. What do you guys think?
that's
I don't
where
know.
I'm leading.
I mean, I would just
Pass
make
it applied.
this.
Well, so I kind of want this to remain base. That way, when we go talk about it with students,
Oh,
we say
yeah.
there's no trickery here. We've not done any kind of manipulation to it.
So the trickery for that would be, the way to do it with no trickery would be to leave the existing one in its current kind of busted state, in my opinion, and just add another package script.
Well, I want to do the thing that you said, which is pass the flag to run once through our script into the
Okay.
command.
So that you can basically say this is literally what gets generated by the CLI.
Okay,
Yeah.
so try running the command on ng test --help and see if that gets us anything. We need to figure out what that command is, and I don't know what the command is.
Does not make sense.
ABC more. I think. So we are essentially creating an implicit contract for all of our projects here that they will need to expose scripts that behave in a particular way. And it's better if we can do it in a way that they automatically satisfy just by being default CLI.
Right.
But that's yeah. I mean,
I don't know if it's possible, but if it's possible, it'd be better.
Dash watch.
Well, watch is turning it on.
Right, yeah.
yeah.
Like, is there a run once?
Yeah, run once is what I'm familiar with.
But
Yeah.
are these options for test or are these options? Wait, no. Oh no, but this is not an ng option. No, this is not an ng option. This is an This is a karma option.
Yeah.
And so we'll just have to add it to the end and it'll get passed through to karma. So we got to find out how do you just ask the web. How do we tell karma test to run once?
Should be like single run true, I think.
Yeah, well, let's find out so we don't have to experiment. Unless you want to experiment. Oh. Have you cleaned your
Yeah.
single run? Yeah, try that. Search for single. Yeah, there you go. So I think if you put that at the end, now there's an extra little bit of fun. Are we running this via yarn or npm?
Yarn, currently.
So that was passed through.
Yeah.
A new version of NPM just passed through now too, by the way.
So if since it's running through ng, I believe you have to do the dash to mean, right? So basically, I don't know whether you have to do the dash
space.
Dash space is kind of the universal signal to say pass these through to the this. Now the question is, what? How are we gonna? We have to somehow convince ng test to let us pass single run to karma.
Well, that might be the Googles.
I'm not convinced. Yeah, there you go. ng. You can just Google for ng test karma single run. How about that?
Okay.
test not obeyed. I would bring up that second one. I would bring up the third one.
You got plenty of ammo there between those three very pointed questions.
Older version.
Watch your session false. I was gonna suggest that.
Try that. Yeah.
That's what
So you tell it watch equal false, and it translates that
Yeah.
to. Oh,
That makes sense.
it does.
what would make sense is if
It just passes
npm
through.
run tests
Yeah.
have the correct semantic. That's what makes sense to me. But the thing is, they're so incredibly committed to not having any sem verb breakage on their thing that I'm sure that's why they haven't switched it, right? Because they don't want to change the semantic of something that's been there in CLI all along.
All right. So now next step is yarn, run, test, watch false. Yeah, and make that's gonna be
Pass
good.
it through.
Okay,
Yeah, you can stop that.
so now you can go edit the big script. Not big, it's short. That's line 11. Shove it in there and hope.
You're gonna have to go back up also. Yeah.
Oh, yeah. So it's kind of a bummer that we didn't even get through one of the. By the way, I'm not super sure that like the way we talk about whether depth first or breadth first. Like there is an argument that like first it should like first do the easiest thing for all of them and so on, just to kind of get some progress. I don't know whether it's like it might be better to actually intentionally change it to work the other way.
I mean, theoretically, you and I are the only two that are going to be running this.
Well, theoretically, when a couple of us get some work done and rebuild this to happen in Bazel, it's all going to happen concurrently on a build farm anyway. Okay.
That's the way real.
So is it running?
Yep, it's going.
See, it was be going better.
Did it get through anything?
It's,
Oh,
that was about
okay.
to.
Okay.
First test here.
Oh, it's on the first.
So if Karma comes up with no tests, does that count as a failure or a success?
So
I
we
think-
don't actually know if it has no test because there's a different error mode where it says 0, where it will actually doesn't actually mean that it ran any.
What happened there?
Not that there wasn't any, but that actually failed to
Wait,
execute.
that says executed 0, error, command failed with node 1. Did I screw something up? Because I really thought I thought the thing was supposed to fail out the whole, like my compile lentilall might not be working correctly if it didn't, like it should have halted when something failed. So apparently my bash skills have run out of steam between a month ago and now.
Well, we could make sure that there's a test there and add a failing test. And
Well, no, see how it says error command fail with exit code 1?
Yeah.
So my understanding was
that would
that
kill it all.
the find exec, right? So there's probably some extra flag that I've forgotten about passing to find exec to make it fail on the first, like to make it fail if anything inside of it fails.
Fail fast.
But I don't even know that it's fail fast. I think it's fail at all. Like I think this might succeed all the way to the end without blowing up, and that would be bad. Because a CI that doesn't throw an error.
That's good CI right there.
No one ever pays any attention to it, right?
Keeps your velocity nice and high.
How many
Well-
projects do we have here?
Many.
5-ish. If you look. We have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5.
So
Of
we're on
which 2 are skip.
Okay. And the skip are skipped by this?
I don't think so.
And we also have the template.
You look like you had a revelation.
So this is a known limitation in find.
Oh, it's not good.
Oh, but if we're using GNU find, which I think we are, there's a quit predicate. Yeah, you're not going to want to do this, but we can do this.
Okay.
Yeah, there is a way to rewrite this so that this will, we can rewrite a little bit more bash and it will all be okay.
Okay, well, let's do that, and then we should figure out what's going on with our tests, because it appears to be doing the same thing for all of them.
Oh,
I don't even know if those have unit tests.
you're saying that they're actually failing, but they're not
Yeah.
really failing? Okay, so do you want to learn some syntax? Is there any like channel that I can put this where it'll show up for you?
Join the Hangout.
Yeah,
Is the Hangout on the
it's on the meeting invitation.
on the meeting? Okay, let me figure out how to join the. But I can click Join
Mute.
Hangout,
Mute.
and then I can mute my computer,
Please.
and then I can not turn off my microphone and video, and then I can safely join the meeting, and then I can go in here. Okay. I have now gotten you what you need. So paste that somewhere to look at and just feast your eyes on this. Okay, so the left and right parentheses let you kind of create a sub-expression. But if you just put a left and right parentheses, that means something to bash. So you've got to put a backslash before your left and right parentheses. You follow me? Okay. So on the build, okay, so I'm pretty sure that line 7 is always going to work. In fact, and if it failed, the other stuff will definitely fail. But, so like, see how line 9 could fail, right?
Yeah.
So we actually need to build the structure like it said again. So before the word yarn on line 9, we have to do backslash open paren. And you got to put a space because these are space separated, right?
Yeah.
And then, so now, see how we have the exec command up there? So we're doing that exec command. Instead of that, we're doing yarn run build.
Okay.
Okay. Now the wrinkle is that the backslash semicolon is currently ending the exec dir. So I
we need
think
another
we-
one?
Yeah. So oh, like
that.
No, we did this wrong. Undo that. I led you astray. You should find someone who knows how to use that instead of me. So we got to do this before the exec dir. So at the beginning of line 9, before we exec dir, we have to left paren open.
Is the
With a
exector essentially the same as the exec in
Yes.
this syntax? Okay.
Yes. Exector means change into the directory you found the file in and then run this command. And because we're changing in there, then during a build, we don't need to like pass the path because that open close curly brace is the path. Okay, so now you got to go to the end of line 9, and then you have to do a -o.
Before they.
Yeah. You got to go before that. So you got a -o. So that means or. So by doing an or, it'll do whichever of these things succeeds. So if the build succeeds, it will not run the thing on the other side of the or.
Okay.
But if the build fails, it will run the thing, which is the quit. And now you have to close, now you need to make that same syntactic change to lines 11 and 13.
It's like a double vertical bar.
Do we want to make a building, like something that would fail the build on the first one of these that runs and do this as a test?
No.
Okay.
What we want to do is use this as a lesson of why you should not build non-trivial build automation in Bash, because this is really not great.
So we should just drop what we're doing and just go get this thing over on Bazel already?
I mean, not the drop what we're doing part, but
Yeah, keep going.
it's pretty high on our list, yeah. Like Bazel is not only a tool that we want to use to help with our customers' big projects, it's a tool we need.
Oh, that
Or you
already.
need to,
Because also this is,
I was using
right,
bash.
and you don't,
well,
So I was like,
but
ending slash.
on the process of getting there, you might, but even then, like, if we,
I didn't.
but if we laced all the dependencies together with Bazel,
Yeah, that's what I was trying to do, and then running like very small.
yeah, we might still have to run individual lines of
Right,
Bash, and
yeah.
that's fine, that doesn't hurt anything at
Right.
all.
You just
So
want to make
it's
the.
legit.
You want to make the action.
Yeah. But this part, like this thing has to succeed or the build fails, Bazel will handle it.
Right.
We won't have to code that. Okay, so yeah, that's probably rightish. Sure.
It works.
If it gives you a syntax error on line 7 or whatever. I'm only sad that Bill wasn't here to see
Oh,
us
yeah.
doing the Bash.
He would be excited.
This is becoming the Bash YouTube channel over here.
Right.
So,
Where's the Angular?
yeah, are we gonna do any Angular in this?
I don't think we ever actually promised Angular on the channel.
True.
We don't.
That's probably specifically because of cases like this.
We can talk about TypeScript.
I mean, once we have this build moved to Bazel, we're gonna end up stepping into that every single time anyway.
Wow.
We're gonna have to like fire up the build farm to be able to get through our. No, but actually, this is a legit case because
Yeah.
we're not parallelizing here, and what we want to know that they all work.
So while this runs and throws a fit, Kyle, can you explain the Google Cloud hate that you were kind of talking about
Google Cloud hate.
Yeah.
It's Google
On
Cloud.
Hacker News.
on Hacker News? Yeah.
So, and this, by the way, it succeeded.
Oh yeah.
Your
Failed.
goal was achieved. It successfully failed.
I didn't read the discussion. The kind of said there was a thread where some people are like didn't like something about Google or Cloud or something. I don't know. I mean, Google Cloud, I find it to be similar in capability to the other major public clouds, but with a really like a nice console and a nice API. So I don't know why somebody would have that complaint. I guess people like to complain on the internet. You know, news at 11.
I think the article he linked was like Hacker News has a general. I don't know if it's like I don't know if it's hate, but it's just like aversion to Google stuff because like anytime Google releases some like open source stuff, there's like we're now the de facto thing. Kind of.
Yeah.
But
I don't
kinda
know. I
like
mean,
that, so I don't know.
I mean, I've met many of the Google people who make these things,
Right,
and I've
yeah.
never heard a single one of the people who makes Angular express that they're somehow trying to make it a de facto anything.
Right, yeah.
They're trying to make it awesome and hope people adopt it.
That was
Yeah.
the complaint though. was
It's
that
kind of working.
They're big
They
enough,
work.
and they're big. They're so big and awesome that they're becoming the standard, and we
Oh.
don't want that.
I
Do we
mean,
not?
Maybe they don't.
I guess they don't.
So are there actually tests here?
That's a good
well,
question.
it's executed 0 and so they have defined having no tests to be an error condition.
But
Makes
they've
sense.
also there are certain error conditions
Yeah.
where it still says
Zero.
I executed 0, 0.
If it can't compile beforehand, yeah, we'll do that.
So let's see if
Wait, so you're saying there's cases where there are non-zero tests, but you get a result saying 0 with no other
well, in
hints?
this case,
Yeah.
it looks like there
That's
are
not
in fact,
awesome.
Actually, are
No
no tests. So
tests.
this one.
Okay, so in this case, it might simply be that you pass the flag that says like OK on no tests.
There is
Okay.
a flag that says that?
Well,
So-
I'm not sure there's in like Cypress world, like to say that yes, it's okay to pass with no tests.
I mean, do we
We're
want to
going to
write a
turn this
small
into an
test?
advertisement for Cypress now? We've
We have
already
a branch.
advertised for
Well, but this is the unit test anyway, so
Right, but I'm saying there
Cypress as unit tests.
some of these tools have such a notion.
What?
Let's see if this has one.
my question for you though was, do we want it to proceed if there are no tests, or do we want there to be at least one test? That's what I was trying to
Yeah.
ask.
There's nothing testable here.
I mean, we could just
Component
test that it creates. Yeah,
Yeah,
just
yeah,
do the standard.
Yeah, like
solid
any test
test.
we would write would be like violating our recommendations for write to write tests.
Yeah.
So why are we shipping such a trivial piece of code that you
Because
can't write a single test for it?
The important thing here is not the actual like component; it's all the machinery around the component to
Oh.
make it a package to publish it.
So what you're pointing at is that since there's literally nothing in the curly braces on line 8, we'd have a really hard time finding something to test.
We
Yeah.
could test that the
Template
constructor works.
produces a template,
Yeah.
or that the template
Yeah, I don't really
produces
believe
a
in
template.
testing the constructor constructs. Yeah.
Okay, but that's-
Yeah.
Yeah.
So there's just-
Yeah.
And that is the entirety of this library.
well, and that is the default boilerplate test that you get from the CLI when you create a new
I
component.
mean, we could leave one boilerplate in and use it as a teaching point. Or we
Unfortunately,
could do the thing and try to tell it, make it okay. I mean, this might depend on how easy it is to do that. If it is just a simple command line switch to make it,
That'd be nice.
yeah, we don't even know if there is one. Let's search.
Like ng test, pass on no tests or something like that.
if only there was a search engine.
Yeah,
Might want to do it up there. If only we could find a search engine somewhere on the internet with which to do searches.
Yeah, I don't know.
Maybe it's becoming more prominent.
Yeah, could you check if Alta Vista has an answer to this?
Hey, I remember, there was a time when Alta Vista was like the best search engine by far.
It's possible Jeeves has the answer to this. We should ask
We
Jeeves.
should ask Jeeves, yeah.
Um,
I mean, it's still a thing. You can still go to like ask.com.
As long as we're talking about Google, there was a time when Google first appeared, like the common knowledge on the internet is like, why is somebody making a new search engine? Search is over. The search wars are over. Alta Vista is the best. It's over now. Why does it? And then this is like literally before there was a Google, which is just amazing to think about.
Yeah.
Okay.
This is 5.5-year-old responses.
It's
so
probably
this
all
might not
live
be.
then. But you could try searching in their.
This one's
We're down
this
to
one's
3 years.
closer. it is in, so there is
Oh,
such a feature.
Fail out.
Fail on empty test suite false.
That's a
In
common
the-
fix.
So it's a
well, why don't you search the docs or all the issues for that option name right now and see what happens. Yeah. So if we're lucky, there'll be a way to pass this at the command line. Yeah.
Yeah.
Do one of those.
We have to pass that through NG test.
And that's not a big deal. Oh wait, it might be a big deal.
Let's say I didn't like the.
Oh. Wait, so we're only.
This one's more niche.
Well, wait a second though.
But this one
What does
probably
NG test really? Is NG test just running Karma?
Well,
Can
it
we just
does.
run Karma?
It does more than that.
Well, what does it do more than
It
that?
actually will go and compile your code as well.
Oh, yeah.
So it makes it run, and that way it can inject it into the browser to perform the test.
Correct.
So I guess the question is, in this.
Really?
So okay, let's consider this. So the only reason that we want to add this flag is for this particular case, where there shouldn't be any unit tests.
And we
And
don't
pretty
know
much
if we
any
have one
other-
of these or 10 of these.
Well,
there's at most 3.
at most.
We're only doing 3 projects here, so there's at most
Oh.
3 situations.
It's
Well-
running the skip ones.
Plus,
Okay,
there's a template.
we are running the skips. Okay.
Yeah.
All right. At
So
most 5.
We could just shove a pointless test in that passes.
Well, it was a config switch, so we can actually put it in the
Yeah,
config
I would put it in the config
for this project.
for this
Yeah,
project
yeah,
specifically
that would make
because
sense. Because we can, yeah, so what if we have to have a karma conf that has a setting in it? That's fine. You'll need to go with the other version of it though, because you currently have the command line version of the flag. It has the dashes in it, and it won't work. You need to get the other version of the flag. Yeah, oh, yeah, you gotta copy that one. Yep.
I guess that colon false.
So that should be enough to.
to get us past this one.
Well, that is kind of weird that it fails on a 0-0. I find that strange. But
I mean, it makes sense, right? Because like if you're trying to run tests and it doesn't find any, then in most scenarios that's going to be an error, right? It's only in this very specific case where we have decided
I mean,
not to test.
all of my tests pass.
Well, it's not even that.
It's dividing by 0 though.
I have no failing tests.
Well, that's helpful.
Oh,
But it may be okay. So now, if you run it with our script now, it may
What's
carry
the
on.
actual exit code?
Yeah.
Does anybody know how to print the exit code in Bash? Don't press anything yet, but there's something you can press right now. There's something you can echo that will print the exit code in Bash. And a true Linux hacker would know.
Yeah, but we're on Windows. So.
No,
I have the Linux.
no, we're
or
in Bash. Yeah, we're in Bash. We're good.
I have a Linux subsystem installed on my laptop on this computer.
I feel like instead of having like all the power of Linux added to Windows, that instead you now have all of the problems of Windows and all of the problems of Linux
Yeah.
whenever you go that route. That's been my experience so far.
So echo, and then $? Do that. Okay, so
Zero.
Yay.
so it succeeded. Okay.
All right. So that should do it. So I should go all the way back up and do this now.
And so now we have time to talk about Git fork.
Each time we run it, we have time to talk
We
again.
can note that it's pie time.
It is high time.
In this
Does Git fork have a dark mode?
time zone.
Oh, it's covered up over there, but
Lance,
What?
do you know Git fork has a dark mode? That's my only.
Yes.
Yes.
It does? Perfect.
Yeah, if you jump over to Git fork.
Like, what is like
That's my one
the
requirement
theme,
in anything,
like
pretty
the-
much.
what is the most
Ooh, the theme.
effective way to Twitter or otherwise social media shame companies who have not yet made their product follow the dark mode setting of the OS platform they run on?
Oh.
Because I find that to be egregious.
Yeah.
Deeply egregious. Like from the moment the OS has a dark mode switch, you got about 3 weeks before I think you're falling behind if you don't. And I'm really frustrated. It's like Android has the dark mode switch now, which is great, but there's like half of my apps either don't have it or like have their own dark mode switch. And I was like, I don't want your own dark mode switch. I want one switch. Okay. So did it work? Did we get past the one?
Yes,
We
we
did.
did.
That's kind of weird. We have to learn to look past where it has an error in red.
Yeah. Now let's go look at socket.io demo to see if there are any actual tests there. Or like, are we going to run into that?
I mean, we're about to find out in a minute.
I suppose.
Yes, I'm pretty sure. Yeah. I don't know if any of these other projects have tests
I'm surprised that they lint.
because I did a good job. Thank you.
I was gonna say because I
Sorry.
created the stuff, but I agree on that one.
Yes, you did originally create it. I don't even know if I'd even changed much. I just know I linted it when I upgraded everything to 8.
Yeah, it probably was not linted. It was built
Okay.
on the fly.
Okay,
in front
so
of
this
us.
one does not
True.
do tests.
Okay. so we'll get-
Or it's failing for the other reason, but we should double check. And if it,
So if we make all of them succeed on the test stuff without having any tests, I think we might be violating the spirit of the branch that I started.
Yeah, that's why I only wanted to do it specifically for that one. So this is
I
socket
mean, if you do
IO
stat
demo,
tracker, I think
client.
hopefully it has some.
I don't think it does.
Can you find something in here worth
That's
writing any test for?
Uh,
I mean, that talks to the outside world, so you're not going to do a unit test on that.
good.
But it's super disappointing.
Yeah, that doesn't. This
how about,
doesn't.
well, there's also a server. This is a client.
Yeah, but
Like
it's
NG test.
doing tests
Oh.
individually.
Yeah.
Okay.
So
Yeah.
yeah, I don't know that anything is gonna be
Never unit tested
very
socket before.
testable here.
I mean, I have written unit tests on
Socket.
things like what app component has. They're not useful tests, but I've done it.
I feel like this is another one that it's okay to skip out because it's so small.
Because the only code that's non-trivial is code that talks to an outside API, and like you could write a test around that. That would not be a unit test. It would be an integration test. If I had to like stand up the server and verify they talk to each other,
Well,
that is not a
can
unit
you
test.
mock out the socket connection? Because you can mock out HTTP
To what end?
So,
To
yeah,
what
to-
end
to-
here?
yeah, right.
and make sure that
What-
when it gets a visit
Well,
count,
we're
it does
just-
something.
We're just using an outside library for that, right? So we just be retesting a library.
Yeah.
Oh, that's okay.
Yeah.
That's a good point. I didn't see it.
Yeah.
So I think this is another case where it's okay to skip the unit tests for this
But that'd be a
particular.
great one for someone to go back and make an E2E test
Yes.
out of.
You know, currently the script that runs all of them does not do an E2E.
Once we get Cypress in.
Let's take a look at the
And
server.
also,
See if
I
there
keep
are any
noticing this
before we
thing
launch.
popping up a Chrome browser window for each of these.
Headless.
Have you noticed that? That
It's
means
not
we're
gonna
gonna,
find
if we want to run these on
anything.
the
Yeah.
CI,
It's also pretty.
we have to headlessify all of them.
I think it's like
small too.
it's like a change
Is
in
that
like what
what I
browser you use. It's not that big of a deal for Chrome.
I know
Oh,
that
Yeah,
yeah,
right there, like in the config file for each of these
I know
browsers.
we're definitely
it's
gonna
not
have
pretty.
tests
Oh,
Because-
for
Okay,
the video.
because they're gonna run inside a Docker container,
I hope you know what you're talking
and in Docker containers, your code runs as root. This is a terrible idea, but this is just how Docker works.
I mean, yeah.
Chrome doesn't like when it runs as root, so you have to like jump through extra hoops to tell Chrome it's okay to run as root and run headless, and here's the right combination. Now we probably have a project we can go find that combination from, but it's not awesome.
So time to use Phantom.js. Cool.
No, no, Phantom is no longer maintained.
But we still use it.
Some people do still use it. They have old code, but I don't think they didn't unpublish it, right? They just
It's archived. Yeah. It's just archived.
yeah. Is that just like the signal they're not?
They almost got
There's
to,
no
like,
further changes in it
yeah,
though.
they almost
Yeah.
got to ES6 support, but then they archived it, so they're back to like 2.1, which
Yeah. I mean that's reasonable. I mean
Yeah.
once Headless came out, like I mean I'm sure some old projects will be on Phantom for a while, but I can't imagine like picking it for a new project. So.
Oh, no.
Yeah.
It's legacy. It's
Yeah.
projects that haven't gotten around
Yeah.
to moving in.
And like finding an open source volunteer for a thing that you really shouldn't use on anything new anymore. Like,
Yeah.
Nobody volunteers to work on.
Yeah, that's basically his last GitHub issue. It was like, yeah, I don't have any volunteers anymore, so I don't want to work on this. So,
When there's only one
Yeah.
maintainer
He's like,
and
I
they
just-
quit,
I just
then
reverted all the Git history back to
that's weird though. Oh,
Yeah.
You're saying he just went back to the last stable release?
because they were
Interesting.
on their way to getting like ES6 support,
Interesting.
and then there's like, nope. So went back
Yeah.
to ES5,
That's probably the right decision though.
probably.
Okay, so what's our how far are we getting here?
Not as far yet as we were.
Yeah.
We're
So we are
almost to it.
experiencing the need for a better build system live.
Yep.
I feel bad for anyone in this portion of watching the recording of this, that they are experiencing the need. Like
You
this-
say in the recording.
yeah.
You know, I wonder if you should just like do a jump cut in some.
Yeah,
of these where it's
right.
Like, okay, now that finished building, you know, like those cooking shows.
All right. Well, okay. This is new information.
Have you seen the thing of somebody's doing like a live coding demo and they just like switch to another directory where the thing has
Yeah.
already been done? Yeah.
Yeah.
Hey, I did a talk at a conference last week and my computer crashed 5 minutes from the end during my live coding. It was awesome.
Yeah, I remember seeing you message about that in the chat room.
That was not my favorite thing.
But a little bad.
I had stuff to talk about, so it was okay, but it was not what I would have wanted. Okay, so now are we getting to the point where it failed before?
No, we are
passed it.
beyond.
Yeah,
We are
passed it.
beyond. This is new.
Oh, that's interesting. We're
Uncharted
build prodding. Is that intentional?
AOT.
I'm just asking, like, is that
I don't know.
Good.
I was assuming
I
you
think
wanted
that might be part
That's
of
the
the
default
configuration
now?
of the,
Okay. yeah?
That we
That's
did for a
fine.
project.
yeah.
I wasn't complaining about it. I just noting it takes longer.
Oh yeah, it's a video stat tracker.
Yeah, actually, I kind of wonder. Oh, it's possible we won't be able to actually run this in our pipeline because it might push us past the maximum execution pipeline of a pipeline. Like it's possible that to get this run on pipelines, we'll have to outsource it to like a build farm.
If you break it down into the individual build steps, doesn't that buy you a lot more time?
Does it let each one take extra?
I think that's the idea.
You would like use up all. If you broke a thing into 10 steps, each of which uses the full 30-minute, you'd be burning up 300 minutes of your Bitbucket build pipeline minutes for each commit someone pushes.
I mean, this is just more motivation. Like, you know, I'll put pressure on the wall and have to get us on
That's
page.
right. Unfortunately, we ran out of money paying for Bitbucket minutes.
Well, and it's would this run every time there's any commit whatsoever in the overall repository, which means if I make a change to a
So
step-
funny you should ask that question. The answer is, with traditional kind of CI as we see implemented in most of our customers, yes, it absolutely would. But going back to our favorite topic, the Bazel build tool,
Yes.
it would understand what the inputs and outputs are to each build step. And just because another build requested the same, like it would know not to run it again because it's completely pointless to do so. And so it would, in fact, only rebuild the ones where any of the inputs, including the Angular version, changed.
Oh, hey.
Hey,
We
we
actually
actually
have a
actual
failing
problem
test.
Injector error.
So it should be fun.
I'm guessing these are default tests that no one did anything with.
Well,
Almost
No one
certainly.
being, most certainly me.
is it on? Oh, it's on the graph. Yeah.
And which one is it?
Graph service.
Scroll up.
Graph service should be
Video
created fail.
stat tracker.
In video stat tracker, it's graph service.
What is the video stat? Oh, wait.
It has a
I
graph.
think I know.
This is the source code for the demo that we have
Yeah.
been built.
Which has a graph.
Dashboard, I guess view breakdown, graph service spec.
Yep.
And so here we probably want to add a import.
Well, let's look at what graph service takes in its constructor, because that's going to drive everything we have here. So the dashboard service, so we can mock out dashboard service.
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah, we're gonna want to mock out dashboard service.
yeah.
Let's provide 7 things.
So, well, you're yeah, provide.
Yeah, provide.
Let's leave that open for a minute.
Comma.
Cool as well.
For people watching, this is the easiest way to avoid having to inject everything, so you don't have transitive dependencies.
What's the,
Creates by object,
yes.
and then it's parameterized to put in dashboard service. And then it needs an argument that is an array, and the array must have, no, well, the first argument's unnecessary, or kind of superfluous, but, and then that array needs to have at least one value, and it can be an empty string.
Okay, so what is, I mean, let's just look and see.
What it actually uses.
Yeah. Does it have any?
Well, it doesn't matter what the implementation of dashboard service, we have to look at the implementation of graph service
Right.
to see what it actually calls.
All the things.
Oh, and then those aren't functions, those are
Properties.
properties.
Yeah.
So
Yeah,
there's
a lot
a
of
form
ups.
group and an observable. So we need to mock those out.
Do we need
You're
to? So for the properties, can we just like set those, or
Yeah, we can just do
okay,
those.
we probably can't do inline though.
No, you only need to extract like everything after use value. You can extract that out to a local variable.
So what are we doing here? Somebody bring me
Making
up
the
to date.
test pass.
But why didn't the test pass?
I
Because
just
of
haven't been
a
updated.
dependency. Bad. So the service that under test uses dashboard service, and dashboard service uses HTTP client.
Oh.
Sorry, mocking
Hold
out
on,
that.
hold on.
Right?
Yeah, the
It's
default
some of
test
that
was never
here.
updated
Yeah,
to match with the service.
There were easier ways.
And
to
we're
do this, but it
like
worked.
we're just trying to make it pass without actually testing anything. We're not trying to make it actually test our service
Right.
doing anything.
Okay, undo. Let's
So
go
what
back.
become the problem we're trying to solve here?
Keep on doing. You can make life. You can do this easier with VS Code. Can make your life easier. Keep on doing until you. Okay. Control period. Extracted constant in arrow function, and now service a dashboard service, mock dashboard service.
Oh.
Okay. There you go.
Interesting.
So now that we have a mock dashboard service, we can add a property to it. And
Oh.
we don't need update video. We can just have an empty string there in that.
So remind me what this does.
Which part?
Like
Oh,
the
I guess
spy
I have to
object.
put something in there. It's
So-
more specific.
So is this just a spy object that will?
This is a spy object that we will be using instead of the real dashboard service in the test, because in the constructor for the test, it gets things out of the dashboard service. So we need to give it something that the TypeScript compiler thinks is a dashboard service. And the two things that it uses in the constructor are the current video observable and a filter form group. So,
Oh.
so we
Gross.
could just create a fake form group here. And it's possible that's sufficient. And
Well, what else does it do in the constructor
Yeah.
with that form group that it gets a hold of?
That's a good point. Well, it's just doing value changes in value.
Good, so it doesn't try to like, access any particular controls, so we're probably fine.
And I would say we should, I'm guessing there are other specs in this project that have similar problems. So let's not run the whole thing, and let's just run the tests.
I mean, the idea, Paul, I think this idea actually came from you, of saying, hey, is there a way to make the CI just verify the compile lint test of all those projects? And I said, sure, I'll whip up a script that does that. But I'm pretty sure we were both thinking that we would actually have tests. That there would be at least some actual.
I forgot about that.
But what we're thinking of actually doing some kind of real test in there?
Well, I think we
To
were
start
under the idea that
We're not
Like,
comedy of
we-
errors.
we
That's
could.
all.
It's contagious.
We might have to take that one down.
Okay,
Oh,
that looks like it's it.
okay, if that's the only test we have, then we're in good shape. All right.
So we're in temporary office space, everyone.
That's what
That's
it was.
why we have.
That's what it was before. I forgot those were there.
All right.
So Kyle, to answer your question,
Yeah.
I wasn't really making any
Control
assumptions about like the current or
It
future
is.
status so much as
Okay.
like, hey, it's like so long as we can automate this, we should
Yeah.
automate this.
So just as somebody accidentally put in a test that didn't even compile and run at all, we catch it. Okay, so we're not totally
Out there,
outside
guys.
the
Yeah,
spirit of what we intended. Is our recording still running nicely, by the way?
Yes.
Yeah.
Are we going to get to a reasonable stopping point at some point for this
We
segment?
should after this run. I think
Well, we still have the two skips, so who knows what
True.
dragons live there.
I mean, we could make the test process skip the skips.
Yeah, I think that's probably the
Yeah.
right move.
Well, if you we can start working on that while this runs.
So, well, actually, not that
Oh,
skip.
It already skips the skips.
Perfect.
There you go.
So yeah, this one might be enough.
What if it picks up the template? So
The what?
there's a template Angular project
Not in this directory though, I think.
that never refactored it.
Hmm?
Whatever. That's fine.
What?
He's saying there's another project that we'll find out about.
template one that's used, or you like copy the step, smash it in there, and then load
You
it.
mean for the AOT?
Yeah. I don't
Um,
know if it'll get picked up.
well, I mean, you can look at the,
Scope to more.
yeah, just look at the compile lintall and,
Oh, is it
and
supposed
see
to
where
be?
it's looking. It's, okay, so it's looking everywhere.
Yeah, what else? Concerned. It's looking for everywhere that has an angular.json that's not in modules.
But the AOT thing is named AOT skip because that's how we signal it to not be bundled,
Yeah, yeah.
not to be bundled in our kit.
Yeah.
Because it would be super confusing.
Yes.
So if we had a nice parallel build here, we would be done.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Alright, so we have a half hour left for
Well, hopefully this will execute and we'll. Now, I would say we probably should be done enough to like commit and push this, and then switch to the other thing so we don't bore anyone watching us too much, because it's not done yet until it can run on the CI. To run on the CI, we got to deal with that headless problem, and that's going to involve like poking around some of our other projects, trying to go reconstruct what is the magic to be able to run Chromium headless unit tests inside a Docker container.
Yeah, that does not sound like something that needs to be recorded.
No.
I mean, that would
Well,
that
actually,
would be amazing value. Like I can think of a client right now that would benefit from being able to convert over away from Phantom to Headless.
True.
By figuring out how to run it
in a Docker
in a
container.
Docker container.
yes.
Yep, I can too.
Nonetheless, we will not go monkeying around to try to solve that. I might just go find the solution somewhere in one of our projects, but what I'm getting at is we should cut our segment once we get success. Yeah.
I don't think anyone disagrees.
I do. Just because.
Don't want to talk about TypeScript. No TypeScript today. Or Angular.
I don't think we're gonna have time for the discriminated unions.
We can spend 10 minutes on my branch and then all go open the big fridge.
So anyone got any paint we can watch dry?
At least this moves. Kind of.
All right, it's about to run the one test that we have in this
Oh,
whole
no,
thing.
You know how we always give like project managers a hard time about the cost of running their meetings. Like how much money are you wasting
Right.
now with this meeting? Imagine like this is the project manager's revenge right here. Like watching all of us stare
We
at
may have
progress
become-
bars.
What's that thing about becoming the thing you were hating or something?
I have become death.
No,
It's
it's like a comic book thingy. There's like a
We have met the enemy and he is us.
yeah. That's not
They
quite what I'm
advance.
speaking of, but that does. That is absolutely true in this case.
Either
Hogo,
you die a hero or live long enough to become.
That was
Yeah.
also true.
All right, so we have
Lot of
several
use
changes.
We're like just a combination of all of the.
Okay, so that's good. That's good. This is just a lock file. This is good. Lock. This is all good?
Yeah.
We
Oh.
probably don't want this.
And you should be able to discard that line within, yeah,
Just delete it. Cool. Okay.
So your
let's-
stage all is that double arrow button up above there.
So let's see. It's, fail on internal failure.
fixed test.
Fix
Yeah.
tests.
Hey, real quick before you hit commit, Kyle, another feature of Fork we pointed out earlier
Yeah.
that there's actually a character count
Oh, that's nice.
of
Yeah.
how much you have left for
Well,
your
look, it
first
gives you a
stage.
separate field for your commit description.
Yeah, you
So
can't mess up the blank line.
Yeah, that's cool. I like that.
Tools that like make it real easy to do the right
Right,
thing.
so
by
does this-
default.
And
Does
hard
this
to do the
push
wrong
it?
thing.
As well.
There was a drop down you could have pushed, but now you can push it there. I don't know if you'll have to do a force.
This, yeah, you're gonna have to do a force here.
Hex Rebase.
All right,
All right, there we go. Cool. So it's there.
I think we're done for this
Yep.
recording.
Yep. So go ahead.
Great. So we'll go ahead and stop.
Bye, everyone.
Yep. See you. Do all the YouTube things. Like, subscribe, click the bell.